Hi lovelies, welcome to the living room. This is the Poetry Friday edition of Yoga in the Living Room, and we're going to do a little mini yin practice today with another poem. I'm going to take another one from Edge of Wonder today, an oldie but a goodie. It makes me feel very balanced and rooted and calm when I go back to something familiar. I've been finding that my routine is very off kilter. You know, I'm sleeping much later than I normally would. My practice is wonky. All of a sudden, like, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I have no idea what happened to the day. So it's nice to come back to my mat. And whenever I come back to my mat, it's like my reset button. Okay, here I am. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to focus on my body. I'm going to focus on my breathing. And it definitely does help bring me back. So I'm going to start off with a poem, as I would for those of you who practice with me Friday mornings over at Liberation Yoga, which is my sanctuary. We always have, we've been doing this for years now, Poetry Friday. And since today is Friday, I thought, well, it sounds appropriate. And it makes me feel like at least I'm part of something normal. When we nourish ourselves with good people, projects, surroundings, scenery, love, magic, beauty, and self-care, we radiate light into the world and continually sharpen our vision, perception, and clarity all at once. This in turn spreads to other beings, which spreads to even more. Remember that one tiny drop can raise an ocean. Keep wanting, desiring, doing, breathing in the sweet things. So just a little reminder before we begin. I have not reminded you all to make sure that you've gotten a doctor's okay to practice yoga, that this is in no way a way to cure any diseases or fix anything that's going on in your body. It is simply just some movement to make you feel good. If I'm offering something that doesn't feel good in your body, you can just sit, you can watch, you can listen, you can put on your own music if you want. You don't like what I've got going on in the background, you could just turn the volume down, or just do whatever it is that makes you feel good. So I thought we'd begin. He's back. Mr. Kai will come back here and there. So this is Mr. Kai. He's been our mascot here in the living room. He's always, he's my shadow, so we'll see a lot of him. I thought we'd start today's practice with the sound of Om. And my favorite definition of the sound of Om is it's the sound of everything. It's the cacophony of all that is beautiful, and balancing that with the things that we may not find so beautiful. I always think of like nails on a chalkboard, but all of that is balance. We need the good with the not so good, right? It's the yin and yang, and this is a yin practice, and if you're unfamiliar with that, I'm not going to go and explain that too much. Just know that it is a floor practice where we're focusing a little bit more on connective tissue versus muscle. And if you really want to know more about that, I'm going to send you to the wonderful Bernie Clark and his website, yinyoga.com, and you could learn all that you want to know and more over there. And if you're in the area, come join me in one of my local classes and we'll talk a little bit more. But for right now, we're just going to keep it easy. We're just going to keep it light. I have props here. I've got a little cushion. I've got some pillows from the couch. You can take blankets from your bed, a pillow from your bed, anything that makes you feel supported, held, safe, anything that works for you. So we're going to begin with the sound of Om. It's just a good place to start. So you can listen or you can join in. Finding a nice tall spine. Let your shoulders drop down away from your ears. A lift from the roof of the mouth and the crown of the head. And starting by following your breath. And taking a big inhale. And exhale through the mouth of the nose, just letting go. And we'll breathe in for Om. And then let your eyes float open. Finding again that nice comfortable seat, we're going to begin in a yin butterfly, which looks a lot like bound ankle or Baddha Konasana, but let's just stretch the legs out first. So I'm going to have a timer with me. We're going to hold poses. I'm not going to do them too long today. If you want to pause the video and hold it longer, by all means do so. It's kind of boring just with me lying here, so if you want to put on your own, again, your own music, just circling through the ankles a few times in one direction, a few times in the other, or if the silence or just the quiet feels really good for you, then just sort of envelop yourself in that. Bring the soles of the feet together. What's really cool about doing yoga at home is you could do yoga in your pajamas and no one would be the wiser. Slide the heels an inch in front of the knees so you've got lots of space. Sitting up nice and tall to begin, take an inhale, and on the exhale, begin to surrender. Now, let's talk about props. So some of you are just folded forward in this bound angle or butterfly. If you say, I wish I had something for my knees, I've stacked up some books for myself. You don't have to tie them together, but a couple of paperbacks might feel really nice. And again, I pulled out, one of my meditation cushion and a couple of pillows from the couch. If you wanted to, if you needed to, let yourself hang forward. I'm going to set my handy dandy timer. So relax your shoulders down away from your ears. Maybe in this position you're feeling the flesh of your face glide towards your nose. Eyes are heavy, your hips are sinking, relaxing your entire spine, maybe feeling the tug of the vertebra of the spine. Allow thoughts to dissolve. Releasing what no longer serves you. What can you let go of? What do you no longer need? So we're all at home, and there are distractions. If it's something that you can attend to later, let it go. Let it go. If it's something important, maybe you'll get to it. Something you need to deal with right now. Okay, then go deal with it and then come right back. Come right back to your practice. The minute you hit the mat, it's your reset button. Your kids come in, if your pet comes in and they want to sit on the mat next to you, just let them. Let them join you. Maybe you begin to shift in your energy a little bit. Whatever happened today, before you came to your mat, let it go. Whatever possibly could happen later, we have no control. Let it go. So no ruminating about the past or worrying about the future. I think about 30 more seconds here. Remember, we're in that forward fold. I may not stay in the pose with you because if I have my head down, you can't hear me. or in that forward fold of butterfly, and you can be really, really stacked and softening. Hi, Zen. So you may or may not see the other cat, who's very interested in her reflection, so we'll see how that goes. See, distractions. No. Take a big inhale, lovelies, and on the exhale, let's press on up. Moving the props out of the way. I've already moved the books. Reach the arms around and up. Like I said, there's distractions. Bring the arms down. If you need to move your cat, oops, go ahead and do that. Oops, uh-oh. As we come back, just shake it out, maybe making some circles through the belly. A few times in one direction, a few times in the other. Side bending is always welcome. Taking the left arm over the ear. Inhale, center, exhale. Right arm over. And then come on back. Just easy poses today, easy poses, just to get back into this routine. If you haven't done yin in a while, or if you're new to yin, just an introduction. We're gonna come into child's pose. So a blanket, right? I was sitting on a blanket before. I didn't actually talk to you about the blanket. It's always nice whenever you're doing a forward bend to be sitting on something. So I just have a folded yoga blanket, but you don't even need a yoga blanket. You can take a towel from the bathroom. Anytime you get your hips elevated, it drops the knees and takes some strain out of the lower back. And you want to resist the temptation to sort of be leaning back on your tailbone. You definitely want to be slightly forward onto your sits bones so that pelvis can tilt forward. It just makes forward bending a little bit easier. So I'm going to crawl to all fours. Just a nice comfy blanket for your knees. Bringing your knees on that blanket, and keep in mind that you can take any of your props here. Pillows off the couch, blankets, towels, pillow from the bed. So my knees are wide here. I just find that to be a little bit more comfortable. If you like the knees closer together, by all means, keep your knees close together. Now, hips may be back towards the heels. So I'm starting from a seated position. If you're like, I don't like this, just hold off a moment. I'll show you an alternative. So coming forward, you can let your forehead rest on stacked hands. You could separate your arms and be on one ear. If you choose to be on one ear, just make sure you flip to the opposite ear. You'll be here about 3 minutes. So if you want to count out about a minute or so and then flip to the other side, or whenever it feels right for you. And whenever you're ready, go right into your child's pose. If you're unfamiliar with child's pose and you need a few moments, you can pause the video, give yourself a few moments. You can take a blanket underneath you. You can take one of the pillows or 2 of the pillows underneath you and lie on that. It might feel really nice. But if putting any weight or any pressure on the knees is not working for you today, and you could make this, you could move this blanket out of the way, or you could let it just slide back on the mat and your head could rest on it. You can bring knees to chest pose. This is child's pose, just flipped onto its back. So child's pose, or they call this in yin knee squeeze. You can stay as long as we do in child's pose, or you can come out and wait. Like I said, I'm not going to be in the pose with you. It's really hard to hear me with my head in a blanket. Or you're in child's pose or knees to chest. We're not going to do a full hour and a half like I do on Friday mornings. We're just going to do a quick 30-minute practice thereabouts. Just again, just to, start this new yoga routine that we're doing at home. Or just, easing back into a practice or easing into the practice in the first place. I know we've all heard this before. It's almost kind of a cliche at this moment, but yoga's for everybody, in everybody, and I truly believe that. You just need to make the pose work for you. Don't work so hard for the pose, right? Ease and effort. Just allow things to begin to happen slowly. What might be good about being home is you're not tempted to compete with someone else in the room. Sometimes, and I fall into this trap too, I look around the room and I see, oh, look what that person's doing, and then I try to do that too, knowing that that may not be the best thing for my body today. Just honoring where you're at in this moment and being in these shapes without instantly needing to change them. Just following the breath. So we're about 1.5 minutes here, so if you're on one ear, go ahead and flip to the other one. So you're not gonna have a kink in your neck. If you're on your back, you can rock a little bit from side to side. Now yin is known for stillness, but I don't think there's room for movement in stillness. I get the stillness of just being in the shape, but within that shape, I think there can be a little bit of room for some rocking or swaying if you need that, right? Rhythmic movement is soothing. Maybe you're feeling a little anxious or stressed perhaps, right? Breathing. Maybe just a little bit of rocking, just to kind of give yourself that moment, just to come back. Just to come back. Oh, it's about 30 seconds now. 30 seconds left in the shape. Don't obsess about the time. I do mention the time now and again, but don't obsess about it because you can come out at any time, right? I can't see you. I'm also not the boss of you. I'm making suggestions. This is something one of my teachers said, and I've had some wonderful teachers along the way, and she said, your breath is your teacher. And I'm going to add to that, and I'm going to say your body is also your teacher. I'm just a guide. I'm just guiding you. You there. All right, my lovelies. Oh, I wanted to do this in the earlier pose. I'm going to come out with the singing bowl. It's a little gong today. That wasn't very loud. Take a big inhale. And on the exhale, you're in child's pose. Take your time. You might feel stuck, and I know that seems weird, but that's kind of normal. You're on your back, maybe rolling over to one side. Give yourself a moment before you come out. There's no rush. And you'll make your way to a seated position. So we're going to go between forward bends and back bends today. So we've done 2 forward bends so far. And we're going to invite an easy back bend. If you've been on your back, it might feel good just to hang forward, maybe those crisscrossed legs. So I think this is easiest with the blanket, but if you have a fish practice, if you have a yin fish practice or a supported fish practice, and you have nice thick yoga blocks and you know that, that adjust or that support, go ahead and do it. If not, I'm taking a blanket. In this case, I'm taking a yoga blanket, kind of folded really crooked. Well, that's on me. Fold it up or roll it up in this case. So you have a nice little blanket roll. And I'm going to take that blanket roll about 1/4 of the way down the mat. So you've got some place for your head. I don't want to set myself on fire. Usually a bad idea. That would make a viral video, wouldn't it? So where you want that blanket roll is about bra strap or the bottom of the shoulder blades. You want to clear the shoulders. You want to make sure that the blanket's not at the shoulders, because you're not going to get your arms overhead and it won't feel good. You're going to find the sweet spot. There is a sweet spot. If it's too low, it's not going to feel great. If it's too high, it's not going to feel great. You're going to find it by just sort of playing with it. Again, if you don't know exactly where that sweet spot is, just kind of roll a little bit back and forth until it feels like the center of your chest is lifted. And if this is too big a back bend and your head is back and you're like, oh, I don't like this, take a pillow. Place it under the head. How's this? It's even, no one's stacked on top of the other. Take one pillow, two pillows, and maybe bring the arms, I don't know if you can see me, hopefully you can, into a T or a cactus. And just let yourself go. So in yin, we're really looking to sort of flop. Flop and release. Following the breath. If the blanket roll is too big and your shoulders are just not feeling it, just be flat on your back and that's fine. For some of us, that's enough of a back bend. Following the breath. And again, if you want to spend longer in any of the shapes, just pause the video. Or do it on your own later on. Only doing really short holds because I only have about 30 minutes. Still working on the bugs with doing the videos. I'm waiting for a camera, but during this coronavirus, not quite a quarantine, but everyone sort of needs to stay home. Everyone's buying webcams to speak to loved ones and work. So I'm waiting on mine. It'll make this a little bit easier and the video quality way nicer. So until then, we muddle on, we muddle through. It's all okay. Just be with that chest lifted. Open your heart. I'd like to think that this brings out the best in us when we're faced with something strange that's going on, very different. I guess the word is surreal. And I'd like to think that brings out the best. I know there have been times like this that have been similar to this, and it really has brought out the best in everyone, so hopefully that continues. I'd like to think you learn a lot from, I hate to use the word adversity, but maybe that's it. But I just think you learn a lot from yin on its own. The stillness, you learn patience. You learn to breathe through things that sometimes could become uncomfortable, right? We're not doing any of those really deep poses here today. But there are times in yin that we do some deep hip openers. And you've really got to rely on that breath. And there are times that we have to rely on that breath. You know, you've got to stand on a long line. You know, you've got to deal with people who are perhaps unpleasant. That happens, right? We breathe through it. You get stuck in traffic and your shoulders hike up to your ears and your breath gets choppy and your face gets all crunchy. And you learn to breathe through it and you learn to relax and you learn to let things go that really, well, aren't worth all of that stress in our bodies. Right? We have enough stress. We don't need to add more. And hopefully our yoga practice isn't creating stress, that you're really breathing through it. Last few breaths. You're going to give me a few extra breaths here. I started saying this a few months ago, and I love this. You know, a lot of us come to yoga to heal, and we don't want to have to heal from our yoga. And I firmly believe that. So if you're doing something that doesn't feel good, stop, right? Don't do it. It's not necessary. All right. Miss out again with the singing bowl. side and pause. I think we have time for one more shape. And we're going to do it as a seated twist today instead of coming onto your backs. So if you know your yin yoga and you want to take a supine twist, I'm going to do a quick seated twist with you because I'm still using my phone, which runs out of space. So I only have a few more minutes with you. So if you want to take a twist, you can bend the right knee, the left leg extended. I would even point and flex through the foot. Bringing the right hand behind, just wrap the left. So this is not quite a yin pose. It's a little bit more yang than yin, a little bit more active. So I would just take a few breaths here just to counter all of that. Just those other shapes. And again, stay in it as long as you want. Take a big inhale, and on the exhale, come back to center. Just take a counter twist to the left. And back to center, extend the right leg, bend the left knee in. We're going to twist to the left. Right arm wraps, left hand behind, point the right toes and flex them. That's so you don't get a cramp. Press down to lift to twist. Make sure your shoulder's not hiking up to your ear. Lifting from the crown of the head and the roof of the mouth. Big inhale, on the exhale, come on back to center and counter twist. As you come on back, just find an easy seat. And close your eyes. If you want to lift up on something, go ahead. If you want to pause and take Shavasana, go ahead and do that, and we'll come back, then turn the video back on and we can close out. But I'm not going to give you Shavasana right now. I'm going to let you do that on your own. Find some lovely music. Maybe light a candle. Lift from the roof of the mouth once again, the crown of the head. Let the shoulders soften, follow the breath. Relax the jaw, unclench the teeth. Be kind to each other, lovelies. Be kind. We opened our hearts. Let that love flow. And we'll meet together with our hands at our heart and our heart towards our hands. Our heads bowed in gratitude for our practice, closing out our time together. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the entire world be filled with peace and joy and love and light. And may we contribute